Hello everyone, I'm Badsha, and today I'm going to discuss a bit about the new season in beta. So, first I have to tell you that if you do not want to see beta spoilers, click off this video. So, if you are still interested in seeing beta spoilers, okay. So, this new season is called Season of Radiance, and it seems to be exclusively based on a new dye system. Or, it's DYE, aka coloring clothes, not dyeing. But this season I really don't like for a couple of reasons. My first and biggest gripe of the season is that, in my opinion, there's no need to make a season focused entirely on cosmetics. Especially when the game itself is so focused on cosmetics. I mean, you see it, each season adds a bit new cosmetics here and there, but they never make cosmetics their whole deal. They usually add a new area or a new story, perhaps new gameplay or whatever. But this mechanic, it seems, is entirely revolved around coloring and customizing cosmetics. And that brings me to my second point. This only helps veteran players, or players who have a lot of cosmetics. Some people have argued, how much does Sky help new players? And that's a valid argument, but my opinion is, it should cater to a wide variety of audiences. And I feel like this new season, Season of Radiance, will only cater to a small minority of players who already have so much clothes. Now, if you look at new players, what do they not have? Cosmetics. And they won't have cosmetics to dye anything with. So to them, the season is going to be a wash. We won't be able to collect anything. Not to mention, these dark plants, that's how you get the dyes, by the way. You have to burn dark plants. Not only does it not involve flying or socializing, which are the two main aspects of the game, but these dark plants will be hard to find without a guide. An external guide, something you'd find on Discord. And there's nothing wrong with these guides, obviously, but I really think that Sky should rely less on them, or at least find alternatives that don't involve people just searching for the guides or the wiki so often. Because now, you have the candle cakes, the daily quests, the shards, the event currencies, and other dyes that people have to check over on Discord just to check where everything is. I feel like Sky should use its own game instead of relying on its fans or relying on guides or the wiki to basically provide information. This should be something that should come naturally, but I feel like Sky isn't doing this as often as it should. And it's getting increasingly clear that the aviary shop upgrades, they really shouldn't have their own season. Now, nesting was mediocre. I did not care much about the whole season around it, but I think the nest itself is a good feature. But my biggest gripe with it is that it didn't deserve to be a full season. Now look at the cafe, which is a similar addition scope to the nests. And that was just introduced to some random event, and it could have been introduced by its own update. It was very, not inconsequential, but it was very, low brow. You really didn't give much attention or, any filler. And that's the big thing. The last quest of nesting especially, it just seemed like filler, we designed a nest, and now you have to make quests just to pad out the season. And I fear that the new season of the dye shop will be the same thing. In my opinion, the nest and the dye shop should have been introduced as regular updates, in-game minor things. And it shouldn't have gone this whole new mechanic about getting dyes yourself. And getting dyes yourself, that is my most one was the most damaging problem, because the reality is that most new players and most old players even will just add on to the daily routine. It won't be interesting to dye clothes. It's gonna be a chore to just gather it, similar to gathering all the candles, and it won't encourage any creativity or unique in flying or socializing. It'll just be, here's my dye run, similar to a candle run. And this currency and these new currencies, I feel like they could very easily be exploited by TGC. Just add and purchase it for this amount of candles, or even this amount of IP, which that would be such a scummy move, but in my opinion, TGC could do that. I can see them very easily doing that. And this dye shop, I fear, it's not going to be like nesting. I've already talked about nesting, but it's not going to have much story or lore behind it. And now people are like, Radiance Guide or whatever. They have a new symbol or new mask, but I feel like it's not the right environment for it, because nesting, if I remember Nesting Guide, they had a connection to the Forest Elder or an apprentice in the forest or whatever, but did they ever use it in the season? Did they ever bring it up or use it as an interesting story moment at all? I fear the same thing will happen to Radiant Scott and thus be relegated to just a random shopkeeper instead of a season where they could have shined more often as their own character. Now, I don't really hate TGC or think this is a downfall, but I need to make this clear that I really think they're underutilizing the resources. They're underutilizing their potential even. I fear that TGC is not going to look at this the right way. They're only going to focus on the cosmetic part of Sky. They're not going to focus more about the, in my opinion, more important things that made Sky so great in the first place. Like the big things, not just cosmetics, but also the world, the flying, and the socializing. Those three things that TGC should really focus on. They shouldn't just prioritize one or the other. They should try to work in all three in the seasons. And I don't think Radiance is going to do that. It's just going to focus exclusively on cosmetics and nothing else. But if you have any other comments or other opinions for this, feel free to leave it below, because I'm interested in hearing what people have to think of this new season. Anyways, that's it. Bye.